Should we do bench boostage?
Yes, indeed.
Bench boost options. I think now is an option. Genuinely now, game week 27. I think it's one of the...
If you're set up right.
Yeah, of course you need to be. I'm not... Don't break your team to bench boost now. That would be silly. But I think it's one of the better single game weeks left if you are well set. I don't mind it if people are. Only Manchester United of the top half clubs have a bad fixture away to Manchester City. So, you know, if you're sitting there with sort of things like no Luton, for example, and Solanke's available, or you've already started committing to Bournemouth or Burnley as well, you might be sitting in a position where you're quite well set. I don't hate it. Game week 28's been mentioned to me a lot as a bench boost idea. Personally, not in love with it. That's due to the fact you've got first playing second, Liverpool and City. You've also got fourth playing fifth in Villa against Tottenham, and you've got the Chelsea-Newcastle clash as well. I know a few people like it, but I think that you've got 6 fixtures there that aren't great for 6 good teams, and therefore that's a little off-putting for me personally. Game week 29 is an option to bench boost if you press the wrong button.
Don't do it.
Could you imagine?
Don't do it.
James, I'm just waiting for the question. James, I've got 14 players in place for game week 29. Should I consider bench boosting? I'll tell you what, you might end up with a game week rank of 1, but it still won't be worth it. So not game week 29, obviously. Game week 34 might work, but as discussed, you may need a plan B in mind for that week. What I really dislike about game week 34 for a bench boost specifically is that you've got 4 teams, probably, might only be 2 if Leicester and Coventry win in the FA Cup quarterfinals, but you're projected to have 4 teams all play in the midweek after playing an FA Cup semi-final. Could be extra time, could be injuries. Look at poor Hwang, who looks like he's picked up an injury last night playing for Wolves in the Cup. Based on the projections as well, I think you're potentially missing too much elsewhere in the build-up to it, i.e., like you said, if you commit too much to like Manchester United, Newcastle. And I also think you're missing out on stuff after if wildcarding for it. So if you wildcard to go to game week 34, I think you're missing too much on that stretch of 35 to 38, but you're not going to be able to manoeuvre in necessarily the right way. Game week 36 would be an option. If Chelsea-Tottenham double, landing here might make this viable. But I'm not as... You might have heard me mention it at the end of the podcast on Monday that I thought some might think, 36 looks all right. I'm not as keen on the idea as I was earlier in the week, having looked at it in a little bit more detail. But I guess it falls into the similar line as the Bournemouth-Luton. If you've got enabling doublers, etc., and you've got other players with good fixtures, sure, crack on. Most of the teams near the bottom have a decent fixture in game week 36. So the bottom 7, so Everton are at Luton, Sheffield United play Forest, Burnley are at home to Newcastle, Brentford are at home to Fulham, Palace are at home to Manchester United. So if you had, it might be the sort of week that looks okay, subject to how you land. 37 is highly likely to be the most popular, I think, for bench boosters. It's almost certain to have the most doublers. Currently, I've got projected 8, but we can get basically as high as 12, and there is an unlikely situation that could even navigate to 14 if you had that weird Arsenal-Villa postponement. Rotation could kill. I think that's the key thing that people are put off by it. I think we all remember last year with those...
Not it could kill, it will kill.
Well, no, it depends.
It's almost inevitable.
If the titles...
With the amount of fixture congestion...
If the title's wrapped up, it's alarming, yeah.
Yeah.
It's alarming, yeah. And even if you take the scenario, I don't know, let's say Wolves double would potentially look good on the projections, but if they've got to the FA Cup final, like, where's their minds at? So, but it's the one. If I had the bench boost left, I would be aiming to use it in game week 37 personally. I would be aware that that's really off-putting that the heating's gone off, Nico, but it's okay. I suspect that it will underwhelm similar to how the Haaland triple captaincy underwhelmed many, but might also still be the right solution. That's how I feel about it. You're going to want the title to still be at stake, I think. And I think even, by the way, if Liverpool are still going for the title, I think they're a problem in that game week anyway, if they're still in the Europa League semis, because they're going to play Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. And we know that Klopp, we saw a perfect example on Sunday, right? Klopp will trust people. If he's getting told by his docs, no, you need to rest Mo at Everton because he's got a tight hamstring, he won't force him to play.
No.
He'll rest him. Salah's a bad example of that, but I think you get what I'm saying.